This is a continuation of homework set 34. Question 3 asks us to graph this exponential function. So I'm just going to build a little table here about x and y equals 3 to the x. So if x is 0, y will be 3 to the 0, which is 1. Let's plot that point. So 0 and 1 passes right through there. And then when x is about 1, when x is 1, y will be 3 to the 1, which is 3. Let's plot that point. Over to the right one, start at the origin, to the right one, all right, I'll start at the origin, to the right one, up 3, all right, to the right one, up 3. Now these are going to grow quickly. So what happens when x is 2? Y is equal to 3 squared, which is 9. All right, now that's going to be over 2, up 9. That'll put us way up here. Whoops. And now let's just try one at -1. We're not going to get much out of this, but we'll get y equals 3 to the -1, which is 1/3. All right, so as best you can, just approximate that location. So at -1, we're going to be up 1/3. So maybe it's here. All right, so I'm going to do my best to draw a smooth curve through here. Now, as I come down, it is not ever going to touch that x-axis. Question 4, as I read this, is kind of an odd one, right? Because what do we have? F of x is 3 to the x. That's just like our last function here. But f of x is 3 to the x, and g of x is 1/4 to the x. Now, I think I'm missing something. It just wants f of 0. You know what? I'm going to do both of these. I'm going to do f of 0. That's just going to be 3 to the 0, right? What you're going to do is you're going to put that 0 in for that x, and a non-zero number to the 0 power is 1. All right, so that's 1. And then what do you get if we just did this? G of x equals 1/4, not g of x. Let's do g of 0. All right, so we'll do g of 0. This will be 1/4 to the 0, so g of 0 is still a 1. Question 5 is kind of that odd thing again where we're given two functions, f and g, but they're asking us only to compute g. All right, well, that's just the way it is, so here's what we'll get. G of -4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that -4 into the g function. Now g is over here. All right, so I'm going to put the -4 in for x up here, and I will get 1/4 to the x, which is -4. Now you remember our discussion on this. If you have a fraction raised to a negative number, you can change the negative on the exponent just by flipping the fraction over. So I'm going to get 4/1 to the +4, but that's just 4 to the 4. And that's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 again, which is 256. And again, here in question 6, we're given two functions, f and g, but we're asked only to evaluate -1 using f. All right, so I'm going to take that -1 here, and put that into the f function. So -1 I'm going to put right up here. So I'm going to get f of -1 is equal to 4 to the -1, that's just 1/4. So f of -1 is 1/4. So what that says is that, let's just draw a little picture here. Why not? Here's a -1. You put that into f, and what do you get back out? You get back out 1/4. Now here in question 7, we're given two functions, two exponential functions. We're given f, which is this growth function, and then we're given g, which is this decay function. And we're asked just by looking at the graph to compute these values. All right, so what is f of -1? Now, you're going to take -1 and put it into the f function. Now here's f, right? This is f. So if you put in -1, so follow it over to -1, oh boy, what do you get? Okay, so we're going to have to make a guess here. So just make your best guess. What do you think? A third, I'm going to guess a third here. All right, I'm going to guess that's a third. You know, that's the thing with graphs. You don't get completely accurate answers. You get approximations. What about B? 0. We're going to take 0, pop that into G. Now, G is this function here, right? Here's G. So what is G of 0? Well, that's a little easier to get. G of 0, that looks to me like it's going to be a 1. And then finally, what is this one? We got a composite function. What is f of G of 0? All right, so I'm going to start at 0. All right, I think there's supposed to be a parentheses there. I'm going to start here at 0. Put that into G. All right. Now, if I put 0 into G, we just did that. You put 0, I'm over here at the graph. Put 0 in for G, you get a 1. All right, so what I get now is f of 1. And now you put 1 into f. So put 1 into f. So go to the f function right here. Put 1 in, you get 1, and I get back a 3. All right, so I'm going to claim now that this is equal to 3. What we want to do here in question 8 is to graph this function. Now, here's a nice way to do this. What you could do, if you want to do this by hand, I'm going to set up a table, x and y equals, now, this is 4/3 to the x. Now, here's what you can do. On your calculator, at the very top left, there's a key that says y equals. So press that key. When you press that y equals key, you get a collection of functions, y1, y2, y3. So go under y1, go to the y1 function, and type in this. Type in parentheses 4 divided by 3 raised to the x. Now, to evaluate that function, at the top right, what you're going to do is you're going to press the second key. That's the key in blue. All right, and then at the top right, you're going to press the graph key. All right, so you press second and graph, and then what it gives you is a table. Right above graph is table. So this is going to create a table for you. And then under X, you go back, all right under your X's. Now, if there's things in there, just get your cursor over to X and press delete, delete, delete until they're all gone. And then put in a 1, and then you'll get back a 1.33, and so on. Put in a 2, you get back 1.77, ... Put in a 3, you get back 2.3, 2.3, okay, so on. You don't need all these. Put in a 5, you get back a 4.2. And then put in, let's see, we can't go too far because this thing gets big fast. Put in a 9 maybe, or just a 6 or a 7. I'll put in a 9 and I get 7.4. Now try to plot these points. So for 1, I get 1.33. Now over on your graph, start at the origin, go to the right one, up 1.3. That's about 1 1/3. So I'll go up here, 1 1/3. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put in 0. I'm going to start at 0. What a silly thing. Start at 0, because at 0 you get a 1. So at 0, you get a 1. All right, now we'll put those numbers in. So now at 2, you get 1.77. So over to the right 2, up 1.77. 1.8, okay. At 3, we get 2.3. You can see this thing's growing, but very slowly. At 5, you're up to 4.2. 5, you're at 4.2. At 9, you're at 7.4. At 9, now 9 is off here. So 9, 7.4. I didn't see that we were off, 7.4. So we're over here. All right, so this function, now you're going to have a graphing tool. It's going to look better than this, but it is not going to touch. It is not going to touch this x-axis. So let me be a little bit more careful. Get it through these points. It comes down, never touches the x-axis. And that finishes this part of homework set 34.